Hello everybody, my name is Tyler Soto, and the topic that I'll be discussing today that relates to the Colloquium course are electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are environmentally sustainable, and that is how they relate to the Colloquium course. Nowadays you see electric vehicles more in demand as more laws are being pushed towards a more eco-friendly environment, but I want to get to the start of everything, the rise and the fall, and how they are where they're at today. And in order to do so, we have to go all the way back to the late 1800s, specifically 1890, when the first electric vehicle that was successful dropped in the United States. So from that early introduction in the 1890s, electric vehicles continued to gain some popularity as the tweaks were being made, and then in the 1900s they became increasingly popular amongst women, especially due to the infrastructure in cities and towns at the time. There wasn't a vehicle that was needed to go a really long distance, and electric vehicles were perfect for those short little errands. However, this popularity was short-lived, as in 1908, Henry Ford's legendary Model T Ford dropped, and due to its mass production and its cost effectiveness compared to the electric vehicles, they completely took over the automotive industry. And according to energy.gov, by 1935, electric vehicles have almost disappeared from roads at that point. This is pretty significant because after 1935, there were no real advances that got anybody excited about electric vehicles until the late 90s, and we'll get more into that. Fast forward all the way to the late 90s, in 1999, an EV was made from Honda called the Honda Insight. When this hit the market, it really shook up the scene in the automotive industry because it was the first, like I said, it's not fully electric, it was a hybrid vehicle, but it was the first step in the right direction. And then in 2006, a Silicon Valley startup company, now known as Tesla Motors, took out a huge loan and paid it back 9 years early, by the way. But they took over, and we all know what Tesla is now. They produced the first ever sports luxury electric vehicle. So what this really made happen was like a little domino effect, because by late 2010, brands like Chevy and Nissan were also introducing completely electric vehicles. So into the 2010s, other companies followed suit, like the three I just mentioned, and tried to develop other electric vehicles. Obviously, like I mentioned before, Tesla is now known as a household name, and rightfully so, as they pushed the envelope when it came to electric vehicles and future environmental sustainability. I think it is very interesting to see how early on, like I said, up to 1890, when that first successful electric vehicle was introduced in the United States, we had them, and then we pushed towards gas vehicles. Why? Because these companies like the oil industry and people in the gas industry really like for consumers to use gas because gas equals money. I'm not saying that electric vehicles don't equal money, because they do in some ways as well, but they are far more sustainable to the environment. Nowadays, with new laws that are pushed and more government help as well, we see charging ports in many different locations, laws being introduced to help make the earth more green. California they put a law into place stating that all residents of California must have electric vehicles by 2025. I don't think this will happen, as it's too short of notice, even though it was a few years ago, but it's a step in the right direction for sure. And